All right, welcome to the Friday Night Mix Show. Lami, what's going on?
I don't have a shakara today. Huh. I give up.
Every day is something new.
That's right.
Something new every day. Ah, Lami, you abandoned me. Why did thou
Mm.
abandon me?
It's your bad behavior that caused it.
Nice one. Wow. Wow, today you are leading. Before today end, I can guarantee you that things will happen. Oh my lord. So it's not my back character that you not left me and you went into the into your tell me how was your week?
It was fantastic. It was great. It was busy but good. Good. So far so good. And I have this new thing I'm doing. I'm drinking jugs of water.
Drinking a
So
lot of water, right?
that's a lot of fun. So yeah. It's been it's been quite something. So but I'm
You
excited to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you again. Like everybody was like, we miss Lami. Like me that now I'm on this show. I don't understand what's really going on. So me that I'm on the show now,
I
I'm
have my
hoping
fans.
to bring
I
you
don't be
things.
jealous. When you get it, you get it. If you don't get it, forget about it. You
Okay.
understand? So
All right.
yeah.
All right. All right. I see that a lot of people have already joined the show. Please make sure, like we normally do, leave a comment, leave a like. Just say something beautiful. Say something to Lami that has finally decided to join us again on the Friday Night Mix Show. Friday Night Mix Show. All right. I've missed you. That's why. Don't blame me. And I have a very cool view. Watch this. Ah, see the movement. See the
Okay, okay, okay.
gliding to
Nicely done.
Friday Night Mix
Nicely
Show is
done.
going. We have to come and set up your own Lami. We have to find a way to set it up so that you two can be gliding from one screen to another screen. You know, so
I like it. I like the idea. Let's
I
do
like the
that.
idea. Is there anything in the news? Anything you want to share with us in the news? Any story? Any gists
That
happening?
caught my eye this week. Hmm.
Yeah, that caught you exactly. Your caught your fancy this week.
Have I been in the news like that? I'm not sure that I've really paid attention, except for, what was it? The idea that mortgage rates might be coming down. So mortgage interest rates might be coming down. I'm like, oh, that's exciting. Like it's still a speculation, right? But I was having a conversation with a friend today who said, look, a lot of things ride on speculation. So there's that. So that would probably be something good for a lot of people who are finding it hard to afford to buy their homes because of the interest rates. So that's exciting. Yes.
It is exciting for sure. And then the person we have on the show today,
That's why. Jonathan, there's a reason why that's what I said.
I'm
You get
telling
me?
you,
You get me? So you would
so
explain to
she's
me.
she's a when you say someone is Gbogbonishe, you know what Gbogbonishe?
Yes,
She's
you have spoken about it
everything.
before.
She's a superman. I wonder how she's able to, get around all the things that and she does so gracefully, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's just a segue. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you have anything to say before we bring in our guest today?
I'm so excited because we talked about when we're having a conversation with her, you
Yeah.
know, about this, and we got into this short convo. It was really exciting, and so I'm very, very eager to hear what she has to say on the show today. So yes, please bring her in so
Yeah.
that we can use all the time that we have to talk about this
To
really,
talk
really
because we
important
usually don't have
subject.
time. We usually don't have time on the
Exactly.
show.
Yeah,
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
absolutely.
listen, the person I'm bringing on tonight, you already know her, but let me just read something short. Our CV is like 765 pages, but we cannot read everything. We have to just, take out the little one that we can. But ladies and gentlemen, she is a senior HR professional, real estate agent, a pastor in a local church here in Calgary. It's not local church, it's Peace Church Global. If you want to come to our church, you will see her. You will see her there. you know. And as a corporate business and religious leader, she's always busy raising the bar for a community in human resource capacity building. She does financial empowerment and help people to maximize their potential in God. She loves to speak and has spoken in over 1,000 platforms and countless hours as a counselor and as a coach.
That's right.
As a diversity and inclusion champion, she's led D&I initiatives for multiple Fortune 500 companies advocating for representation and fairness. Years expertise as a career coach to serve the board of youth development organizations where she serves indigenous youth First Nations nation
Well, we're
communities.
losing you a little bit.
You're losing me.
Mm.
Can you hear
Try
me?
again. Much better. Yeah.
Much better now. Okay. When she isn't making home ownership dreams come true for her clients, she's
Mm.
honoring a speaking engagement like she's doing today. Ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, please make welcome Mrs. Kemi City. Wow, it's so good to see you on the show.
Thank
PK, we
you.
call her PK.
Yes,
Thank
we do.
Lami, can you tell us why we call her PK?
Ah, you, when you said Mrs. CD, I'm like, okay, because
That's
she doesn't
weird.
like for us to use, she doesn't go with that title too often, especially on platforms like this. But yeah, we have already mentioned that she's the pastor, so that's Pastor Kemi CD, amazing individual,
Amazing.
and I'm very excited that we're getting the chance to have this chat today. Thank you so
La-
much for being here,
Thank you
PK.
so much for
Thank
joining. Lami, are you
you.
sure that your microphone, your mic is on the like the loudest? I feel like it's kind of low. Do you want to
I
try and
can
increase?
definitely increase the volume. I have the power
You
to do that.
you
How
have the
about that?
power. I like
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
All right. So PK, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us today.
you.
How are you today?
Thanks for having me. It's been a long day, but grateful to be here.
Yeah,
Hopefully, this will help me on mine.
I asked you before we came online, like, how are you today? How was your day? Like, are you sure you want to know? Yeah, it's really, I mean, a woman of many parts like this. Obviously, the day is your week is always booked and all of that. Thank you for coming on the show again. Let me say that. So Lu Amadi is leaving some comments, but I'm not sure what it is. It's just kind of blank. I think she's leaving. She normally would leave her stars. Thank you so much, Solu, for leaving stars, giving stars on the show. You can leave a comment, a like I said earlier, or just whatever you want to say on the show today. You can leave on the comment section. I'm going to read it out and we can commence with the show. All right, PK, welcome. Well, when I keep saying PK, I mean Lami's already explained why we call her PK, Pastor Kemi as it is. How are you?
I'm doing good. Long day, but fruitful, and I'm grateful. I had a possession that was wonky. For the first time, I had to hand over keys to someone in the evening.
Ooh.
It's never happened to me before. It was
Oh,
an
nice,
interesting
nice.
one. The story for another day. Don't let me get into that.
Yomi says, "Welcome, PK." That's
Thanks, Yemi.
your fan, one of your fans. All right,
Uh-huh.
so let's get into it. Let's get into it, PK.
Okay.
The topic for today is balancing ministry, career, and family. And if you notice in the bracket, you see ladies' view. So I'm not really going to be talking much today. I want to sit back. I want to understand why are you doing your face like that, Lavi? Why? Why?
You want insights. You want real gist. You want insider's opinion. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. All right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You get the gist. But let me start off with my own question, and then Lami will now continue. You know, and then I'll just be doing. See, before I continue, see, you always say, "Good to see you, Lami." See, and I've
Thank
been
you.
doing this job since nobody sent me. No wahala. No wahala. All right, so let me start with my own question, PK. It's simple. I see you at least every week. I see you, except for the week that you travel and you go on vacation and you don't come to church.
I
But
believe
at
that
least,
you are not around for that.
yes, no, me. I'm always around. I'm always around.
Mhm.
But
Right.
I see you regularly, right? And I see the like you wear so many caps,
Right.
so many caps. Even
Mm.
and when I say I see you, I only see you on Sundays. Oh, it's not like I see you every or during the week. But on that Sunday alone, you wear so many caps. You are
Sure.
either in the children church,
Mm.
organizing things, getting things sorted,
Mm.
quenching fires, or you're on the pulpit preaching, or you are welcoming people.
Mm.
Even from that little that I see, how do you manage to? How do you cope with wearing all those caps?
You can talk
And
about
being
telling
so,
the setting up. Oh.
you said
setting up in the morning.
Ah,
You know,
that
just
one is there. So for people that don't know, our church, we used to set up every morning and break and tear down every morning because we close 11:30. So and PK will be there like 8:30. Service starts 9:30, right? 8:30. She's there carrying chairs, setting the backdrop, doing things, with her fine choir clothes that she always still
huh, for the
that she,
Let's not share
um,
our inside gist now.
so how do you do it?
Honestly, I don't know.
Hmm,
No, I think it is, I believe in living in the present. And if you are in the present, make the most of it, make the
hmm,
most impact with the present. And I think that's what makes me, sometimes when I look back, I'm like, how did I even do all of these things?
hmm,
Or what I know is per day is just what do I need to do now? And how do I need to
hmm,
show up? So
hmm,
if I need to show up as the person arranging the chair, I show up. If I need to
hmm,
show up as the person preaching, I show up. If I need to show up as the person motivating, I show up. So I think for me, it's a sense of, there is a sense of duty, there is capacity, and there is passion and just general love for people. I think those are the things that drive me. And that's why it looks like I do things even though I can't say I'm the best at it, but I'm available and I'll do it
hmm,
as much as I can. So I don't think I have a cape, but I just get things done if I need to get things done. That's pretty much it.
Love.
I think that's beautiful, and it was, I mean, good question for her, and you do that, ask good question. It was a good way to ask because people see you, and there's so much going on with you, and um, you're a mother, your wife, you're a pastor, an HR professional, real
Mm,
estate, um, agent, all of that important stuff, and your sister, your daughter, you're a lot of things you
mm,
know but I loved how you summed it up and said, look, it's about the passion, it's about the love for people, is that I show up, I'm available. I might not be the best at it, but I'm available, and that's really a beautiful way to start.
mm,
But my question would be this, because I mean, yes, we see you in all your roles, but how about we get to know the person? So do you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself, how you came this far?
Uh, what you just asked is for
That question.
40 years worth of story. You
mm,
want me to put it in 5 minutes anyway. You already know my name, so uh, I think I am introverted depending on the situation, and
yeah.
I could be extroverted when I'm compelled to. So when I get tired of being extroverted, I go back.
Yeah.
I go back. I'm one of those people. I replay the scenes for the day and I kind of audit myself like, you spoke too much. Maybe you shouldn't have. Anyway, that's getting into my head. I think I'm just passionate about people in general.
Hmm.
Um, and I get to and that is what drives my passion. It fuels my energy when I know it delivers value in some way to
Mm,
people. And that's kind of like why all of my expression of my skill, talent, even my career revolves around people, around humans. And
mm,
isn't that funny for someone that gets tired of talking? But the fulfillment side is where that's what I live for.
mm,
Knowing I've been able to bless, knowing somebody is happy, knowing I've been able to deliver value. So that is me on the inside. But my career journey, if you want to hear, is long. But in a nutshell, I studied chemical engineering for my first degree, human resources for my second degree, and yeah, I'm still doing human resources till a few minutes ago. And And I've done a myriad of things. I've been in business since I can remember. I've sold anything you can think of. If I tell you how many things I've sold in this life, you'll be like, how? But I think I come from generation of entrepreneurs. My
Mm.
mom, my grandma, my great grandma. So I met, when they say you met it at home, I
Abali.
literally, yeah, I literally met entrepreneurship at home. And so it's not alien to me to know how to multiply money and how money works. So entrepreneurship has always been part of my journey from school. I've sold all manner of things while at
Give
school.
us an idea of what you sold because you have sold this thing that I want to know. I'm curious now to know what you've sold. Have you sold?
Okay.
Have you sold? Let me just break the
Yeah.
ice. Have you
Yeah.
sold underwears?
No, funny enough, I've not. But I sold bed sheets.
Really, you
I've
had to go there.
sold
Of all the
clothes.
things
I had
you want
to.
to
I've
ask,
sold
I,
shoes. I've sold Zobo drink. I've sold. I- I've sold things. And my mom also had a corner shop. So I was always there during the holidays and all of that. So I've sold a lot of things. Yeah.
Mm,
that's really interesting. And you said something about money. And
mm,
that's the thing. There's this concept, this idea that when it comes to money management, women, there are different school of thoughts. Women can manage money. And then, of course, there's the joke like, if a wife is angry or a girlfriend is angry, just put money under her pillow, something like that. But
Yeah.
but much more than the joke. When it comes to money investment and all of that, do you think that gender plays a role, or is it just a myth?
I wouldn't say gender plays a role. I would say personality plays a role. And the
mm,
reason why I said so is I've met so many people with diverse ideologies about money and how money works, and even their attitude towards money. I've seen guys that are spendthrift, as in they spend all their money on any and everything. And I've also met women that have financial portfolios, right? So that's the reason why I don't think it's gender. I think it's more about our personalities, our experiences, our backgrounds than anything else. And of course, our education. If you
mm.
know, in my mind, if you know more, you do better, right? So that is why I wouldn't say gender plays a big role in our finances and how we either organize our finances or our preferences. Women are said to spend a lot of money on clothing, jewelry, looking good, and things like that. But I've also met men that get mani pedi every week. You know,
I get what?
manicure and pedicure every week,
A man
and
or a woman.
a man. And the number of deliveries in terms of designer wears that appears at their door every day, and is the man.
Mm.
So that is how I knew that, what is this is
Not
gender
really.
neutral. It's
Yeah.
just about your attitude to money and
Mm.
your understanding of how money flows through you, and what you do with it generally.
Oh, so I need to ask this because I mean I've stayed under your administration several times, and I'm very curious as to how you've been able to, like, your story is like heights and lows. I'll give you an example, right? Like you talked about right here in Canada. I'm not sure whether it's Calgary, but in Canada, when you had to drive, what's it called? Um,
DoorDash.
DoorDash. That's, you know, and at the same time, you talked about
It's
working
build
in
the share. It's build the share.
is what,
Build the share.
and this is the person that back home in Nigeria, you worked in Maersk, you worked in top 500 fortune companies, right?
Mm,
How, give us a story of your mentality,
Mm,
because, and why I'm saying that is because, we have several people who, like me, came from Nigeria. Me, that I am the boss of da 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 da. I will now come and be, no, I can't. Oh, stuff like that. Like, well, I cannot do that. I have to wait till I get something that is big, and I want to, for whatever reason. What's the motivation for you that it didn't matter that at that time you had all the qualifications to work in the best company here in Canada,
Right. Right.
but you said, you know what, I'll grind it, I'll work I'll do what I have to do to support my family. We're still going to come to ministry. We're still talking about who like Yomi said, define PK. How define that mentality for us.
Um, I I think one of my drivers as a human being, as a person, is to I see money as a tool.
Mm,
You use money. Money
mm,
doesn't define you.
mm,
And I'm just layering the things that drive my actions.
mm,
Number one, money is a tool and you use money. Two, I don't believe there is anything like dirty money or
mm,
unclean money, provided it is noble, it's a noble job,
mm,
then that's good enough. Number three, I also know that life comes in waves.
mm,
It's not everyone that is going to live all their lives on the ice. There will
mm,
be lows. And how do you ride that tide? At the
mm,
time when I had to do DoorDash, like you said, I had all the qualifications in the world. I've worked everywhere. But it was a question of what do I have? I asked myself when I woke up the next day after I got laid off, and I said, what do I
mm,
have? And one of the things I counted as what I had was a car. And I said, how can I use this car?
mm,
Can I use this car to make money? And that was all that mattered.
mm.
People's opinion, what they think, that doesn't. If I need to deliver the food to your house, I'll knock on your door, say hello, and drop the food. That is my mentality.
Mm,
So it wasn't beneath me. I can't, like I said, I come from a family of serial entrepreneurs. My grandma said something one day. Was it my mom or my grandma? I think it was my mom, that I can never forget. She said that when she thinks about her children and after she dies, that when she thinks about me,
mm.
that she knows I can never be poor.
Wow. She was talking to you.
Yes. And I
Mm,
was like, why? She said, because I know there's nothing that is beneath you, and people like that are never poor.
Hmm.
mm, mm,
And that was why I started my story as all the things I've sold, I've done, I've no, no big, and that's my mentality to say I do that provided value would exchange hands. If I can
mm,
offer something and you can pay for it, it's not beneath me. If I
mm.
have the time and space for it, of course. I've I, I've done a lot of things. I was going to mention another thing, but anyway, they are
Mention
legit.
it now. Mention it now.
I did not carry gun, but I did everything in the books,
Mm,
provided I can, provided is within my space. And I also remember something my pastor, my mentor, used to say. He always says, "Start with what you have."
mm,
Mhm.
So every time in my life, I'm always assessing and looking around to say, what do I have? And how
mm,
can I use what I have? And those are that line of thoughts as what has carried me through the different phases, the different moments of my life. And
mm,
of course, taking those opportunities and not thinking to not thinking anything is beneath me, essentially.
mm, mm.
That's
Like,
beautiful. That's really beautiful. I remember there's a woman back home in Nigeria that her story was really inspiring. I mean, she would tell her story of how she started with 1,000 naira to Moi story. I mean, it was a rave. I mean, she got so big. She was nominated for several entrepreneurial awards and all that important stuff. But one of the things she said in a session was there is dignity in labor. There's no dignity in begging.
Mm.
You and that was I couldn't forget that. And it kind of emphasizes what you've said, that look, I assessed what I had at the time, and I said, look, I have a car. How many people? Yes, Grayson Creations, she was at the White House. She met Michelle Obama. Um, how many people will think my car can become an asset for me? Because
Mm.
more often than not, it's usually on the liability side of things,
Mm.
right? But you thought, I have a car, I can use it. And you said something to me like, I will knock on your door and drop the food. I mean, value as exchange. It doesn't matter how you say it, but you knew that it was also, a time.
Yeah.
Like you said, life comes in waves.
Yes.
It goes up, it goes down, and it's our ability to ride it and not let it define who we are, that actually makes all the difference. So I wanted to ask another question, and it's based on the idea of this glass ceiling for women. And the reason I think you're, you know, um, the right person to ask that question is because you are a professional and you've risen quite high in your career. So, what do you think about the idea of a glass ceiling for women? You must have fought with quite a bit of stereotypes, if you will. So, what do you think about that?
Glass ceiling.
Let me drink water to that first.
Of course, you will.
Exactly. We need to drink water to that. Okay, yeah. Glass ceiling, of course, does exist.
Mm.
And sometimes it exists in our minds.
Right, right.
Sometimes it exists systemically.
Mm.
Sure.
And sometimes it comes in form of personal preferences. And I can tell you what all those mean. So when I say sometimes it's in the mind, it's just first it starts from when girls, in this instance, don't see people like them do great things. They don't see what to model their lives after.
Mm.
Then it goes into the mind,
I like
because
that.
then they cannot define what possibility is.
Mm.
Right.
So when they exist, even in their careers, they don't
Mm.
see it as a possibility. And a
Mm.
lot of times they say success starts first
Never mind.
inside
Oh, of
before
course.
it gets out. So the
Right.
moment you get into careers and you start getting into certain levels, you just
Mm.
don't see it. So you
Mm.
don't behave it. You don't go after it. You're not intentional about it because you have nothing. You don't have the model. So that is one when the glass ceiling is in your mind. So
Right.
you have already created that layer in your mind. And there is also having glass ceiling as systemic. And what I mean by systemic glass ceiling is the setup of the organization, the ideals of the organization already sets you up
Mm.
with that glass ceiling. So let me give you an instance. So I've met women that to be able to become certain levels in the organization. So if you work for a global company, for instance, the company exists in, for instance, I worked in a company that existed in almost 130 something countries. To become a director in that organization, you would have done a measure of travels
Mm.
because you have to have hands-on knowledge, understanding of those locations,
Mm.
right? So how for a woman that has a family that is still growing, that is still, how do
Mm.
you do that?
Mm.
So the system is already against you.
Mm.
They didn't mean to, but hey, that's how it is set up.
Mm.
So those glass ceilings then exist, and it looks like women can't go past it. But
Mm.
because the system is set up not to support women who are primary caregivers
Mm.
in their homes, then they have the ceiling. Then it looks like, okay, we only have one person, one woman out of 20,000 men. But because the men can easily up off and leave, you know, while the women are caregivers. So those are
Mm.
systemic things that gets in the way. Then I've also heard, I spoke to a friend last week and she works with one of the big fours, interestingly, and she got promoted right before maternity leave.
Oh,
Do you
oh.
know that they did not assume that promotion until she got back and she was not retro paid?
Mm,
Whoa. Like a
And
year after?
like a year
mm,
after, and
Whoa.
guess what? They had a market review, that is a merit increase, the annual increase.
mm.
Because she went on maternity leave, she was not eligible.
Wow.
My point, because she went on maternity leave, she lost 2 cycles.
Wow. Promotion and that.
Those are systemic ceilings,
Hmm.
right? So those are, so when we just say glass ceiling, you need to, it depends on either the ceiling is in your mind. I've spoken about the fact that it could be systemic. And there is
Mhm.
also cultural, behavioral. That is when
Mm,
you work with individuals or organizations whose culture promotes or appreciate certain gender, women in this case, who appreciate men more than women. Either
Hmm.
when they see as an organization men only exist as people of authority, they believe they are more assertive, they have, and they believe they get things done, and all those things are assumptions. It's called generalization
right, right, right,
and not necessarily true,
right,
you know. And so if you belong or find yourself in such cultures, then the ceiling for you is about the culture of where you belong.
Hmm.
mm,
So the glass ceiling exists. That was why I had to define the glass ceiling, depending on what type of ceiling,
right,
what
right,
type of ceiling exists in your climb. So it could be one, you limiting yourself, not having the role model, or the possibility doesn't even exist in your mind, and then the system, and then the cultures. Those are the things that really define the ceiling that you have. And how you navigate that is a whole kettle of
Hmm.
fish. But
Yeah.
I just
I,
right,
I was
right.
just thinking that the conversation around navigating that alone is
it's an episode.
is an episode on its own. But we will try and touch on it because that's the reason why people have joined the stream to learn. And I mean that's a good segue into the question I was going to ask, which is um it is enough job just to be married. It's enough job to be married
Okay.
with boys, you know, and they're growing up. They're young. They're still young. I don't think any of your boys are teenagers yet. Is anyone teenager yet?
Hello.
Yeah.
Stella is 13. Yes.
Okay, so the first one just became 13. So he just became a teenager, right? And you know, it's enough work, right? Now you have to then tag along. I don't even know whether I should say tag along or actually because the way you even do it doesn't look like a tag. It looks like the three of them. You've been able to position them in such a way that they are also important in your life, right?
Mm,
But you have marriage, you have career,
right.
and I'm not saying them in the order of
Mhm.
preference. I'm
Yeah.
just I'm just but of course I want to believe that PK your number one is marriage, right? Number two or whatever the next is then ministry and career. So I said earlier that that marriage family alone is enough work. It's
Right,
enough work.
right.
How are you then able to? I'll give you an example. You're just starting a ministry 2 years ago. You just started a church. Not even in Nigeria that you have like connections and you have like people that you know that you can like okay evangelist Kope, we are starting our church. Oh. Damn me, why you do? Or you go to like a benefactor sir, we started and I know how Nigerians are like, oh, okay, I'll bless you with something. You're starting a
Right.
church in Canada. Now you still have your career to kind of hold on to. How? And I'm not saying you're not a backbencher in all this. Yeah,
Right, right, right.
it's a different thing. Where I've seen pastors' wife where like all they do is just wear fine long hats, come to church, sit down in the front, and just be smiling and worshiping God. You are not that. You are actually hands on. And this is what I've seen in the family and in the ministry. And from what you say on the pulpit about your career, also in your career, you're a front. How do you do it?
What you remember when you told me that you wanted us to talk about balancing and juggling all of these balls? And I'm like, to be honest, I can't say I have it together.
Mm,
And yes, I do all of these varied things. One thing I have always wanted is, or I've always practiced, is to be present. So if I'm a mom, I want to be present. Do it.
mm,
If I'm a pastor, I want to do that. If I'm an agent, I want to be present. If I'm in at work, I want to be present.
mm,
So that's kind of like how I show up. But to go back to the crux of the question, so when we say we are juggling balls, that's the way I describe balancing. It's like a balancing
mm.
act. And I know, of course, there's a God factor. I agree, Gresham. It can only be God, because honestly, if I list what I do, I know it is good. Yeah, it is God. But at the same time, I also see it as a balancing act. And
Mm,
I describe it as juggling balls. And when you
Right.
juggle, you
mm,
have one in the hair, you have one in your hands.
mm,
That means the one in the hair is can self-sustain at that
mm,
moment, while the one
mm,
in your hands needs an immediate attention.
mm,
And before the one in the hair comes down, the one that is comfortable, you throw it back in the hair. That's
mm,
how I describe balance in my head. So that
mm.
means that you don't necessarily have to have everything in your hands all at the same time. Neither should you have all your things in the hair. That's
At the
risky
same time.
at the
Mm,
same time. So that is how I balance in my mind all of the things that I do. There are times when I know I need to stay home and be grounded and be home,
mm,
and there are times I need to be away and to get things done. But I should always know when to pull that lever back. And I remember giving an example of when I had to resign a job, a
mm.
good job, just because I knew it was time to go home.
As in
You
like a
know,
good job. Oh.
when you count lots of zeros and
Mm,
you had to say goodbye. Why?
Kai.
I knew it was time to be home,
Mm,
with the kids, and my time away was getting too long, and I had to
mm.
to do that. So, in that instance, one of the balls in the hair was coming down, and one of the ones in my hand had to go, and
Mm,
that was it. And you, of course, knowing which ball must never fall, and
mm,
that is family, that's marriage, that
mm,
mustn't fall. The rest you can always juggle. You can always pick up another ball. That's another job. You can always
mm,
get another one, but there are some balls you do not
mm,
allow. And that's one. Two, there's also being blessed with the right partnership.
mm,
Mm.
I believe why I do all the things I do is also, of course, there's God and all that. There's also being blessed with a partner that allows that. And I use that word allow. I know the feminists will come for me. But
They are not
why
on this show. They are not
they're
on this
not
show. They are not on this show.
why I use that word is, if there is no form of compromise, it's not going to happen,
Right.
Mm,
or it will happen with lots of hardship.
Right. Right.
And which means that there will be no capacity if that happens. So my capacity to scale is also because I have someone at home saying, go
mm.
for it, I've
Go.
got this,
Mm,
you know. And that is very important when we think about people that have to juggle lots of things. If you are sure there's someone holding the fort and cheering you on, you go even further.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that is what another thing I think I've enjoyed in having all of these multiple balls that I'm juggling at once.
mm, mm. That's
Mm.
deep.
I think yes. Honestly, it's amazing what you said, and the analogy just is. I mean, that's why I said I was really excited to start with, because we had had that short conversation about balancing, and you had described that picture, and it just stayed, and it makes a whole lot of sense. And so, in one way, shape, or form, you have dispensed the myth of dispelled, rather, the myth of balance, so to speak. Um, and so I want to talk about some other illusions, if you will, the idea of control, the idea of perfection.
Mm,
It brings me to the question of, do you really think the idea that women can have it all, is it an illusion, or is it a possibility? Or what do you think? Have it all, everything, you can do all things through Christ.
I, hon- I'm trying because I know this is social media, right? And I'm not the greatest fan of social media. But anyway, part of the things, can you have it all? I think it depends on who is answering that question.
mm,
I don't believe people, I know people think I do a lot of things, and I know a lot of people look at me, I'm like, I want to be like this girl and all of that.
mm,
But one driving force that I have, and I think should answer that question is, how do you define success?
mm,
Because your definition of success would help you answer the question if you have it all. I honestly don't want to have it all,
mm,
but I want to do it all. And what I mean by that, I've always thought, people say I like talking about death, but honestly, I want to die empty. And that's
mm.
part of the reasons why, if God is laying it on my heart, I do it.
You go.
I do it because
Mm,
tomorrow is not promised. And I
Mm,
want to hear those words, well done, good
mm,
and faithful servant. That's it. So that is my driving force. So you have it all, you don't have it all. It depends on your definition of success. My definition of success is doing as God would have me do part time. And
mm,
that's it. And remember, money is a tool, and it's never a destination anyway, because
mm,
even those that have it still want more. So that means that's not the real thing. The real thing is doing what you're supposed to be doing, being in the right place at the right time, doing the right things. That's it. That is
mm,
success.
mm. Lami, you have Byron with you.
I mean, you don't understand what's going on here. Do you understand? I'm writing things down. You get me?
So,
That you have things to take away.
so when so I think it's just a lot of pressure on women when you
Right.
Mm,
say, oh, you must be this, you must be that. You must be
mm,
everything. I get it. And it's good to be ambitious. But
Mm,
all I'm saying is make sure you have in your mind, what exactly are you driving at? What exactly are you doing? What is the ultimate purpose of it all? That will keep you grounded,
mm,
because if not, we'll keep running. And
mm.
that's life. You keep running.
mm,
I,
It's
I,
finished.
there was a story.
Mm,
I don't know if I mentioned it in a couple of weeks ago. I was reading this article on Amazon, and they said Amazon wants to start to dispense pharmaceuticals, medication.
yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
how
Kilo day.
is it Jeff Bezos? You
Mm,
know? But this is a man that money has not been able to answer that question.
mm,
What am I doing? What fulfills me? What
mm,
am
right.
I here for? So
Mm,
that means money doesn't answer those questions.
mm,
So when we say we want someone that has it all, what does that even
mm,
mean? It's not
right.
money.
Right. Right. What does it all
It's not
mean?
money.
True. Mm,
What does
mm,
that even mean?
mm.
Because it's never money. Money is never enough. Have you ever seen anybody that says my money is enough?
I don't think so.
It's never enough. So money is not a destination.
Right.
It's a tool. I'll say it again. It's a tool to what we want to achieve with our lives. with what we with the lives of others, how you
Mm.
impact communities, how you impact your world.
Mm.
That is purpose itself, not money. So
Mm.
when we put that pressure on women to say we want you to have it all, have a good house and marriage and this and that, and
Mm.
then people start running, and it
Mm.
looks like some people have it together, and while some people don't have it together.
And
I
social
think
media is really bad. Social
oh,
media will make you think, look at that, look at the life of those people. They are enjoying
and it's a
themselves.
lie. And honestly, most of mentors, people that I look up to, they're not even on
They're not on
socials
social media.
because they don't have time. You
They're
see,
busy fulfilling.
when you're making noise, you are scratching the surface.
Empty barrels now.
You are scratching. They don't have time. I'm not saying socials is
Mm.
bad. We're using
No.
socials right now. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just trying to say that what you see might not necessarily be true. That's one.
Right.
Two, socials only captures 5 seconds, 10 seconds of a life.
True.
And
True.
even as a pastor, I've seen so much about people you see
Mm.
on socials, and I will laugh in my mind
Mm.
because in my
Like
mind,
this
I'm
one
like,
today, dear.
really?
Oh.
You know? And that's
Mm.
just to say, it's just a snapshot of people's
Mm.
lives,
Yes.
not the
It is.
entire
It
story.
really is. It
So
really
Mm.
you
is.
can't use a picture that was clicked in 2 seconds to
Mm.
define your own life or to define the many parts you want your life to have. Feel comfortable in your own skin. I told my client today, let me tell you what I told her. We had issues closing the house. Eventually, we closed, and I had to do the handoff of the keys in the evening. And she said something. She was like, what I love the most about your service is your proactivity because I'm too laid back for my own liking. This is a lady that
Mm.
does 2 full-time jobs
Wow.
and all that. So anyway, where I'm going to is she was like, I'm too laid back. If not that you were nudging me, I wouldn't have stood up. And I
Mm.
said, I really envy you. She was like, why? Like, because I feel life is passing me by because I'm too busy to
Mm.
slow down. And I want to be like you. She was like,
Mm.
are you serious? Let's exchange. And we laughed over it.
Hmm.
So what I'm saying is, but guess what? Those that are supposedly laid back, they are getting things done.
Done.
Right.
So the fact that you are on the faster lane doesn't mean you're getting things done.
That's right. That's right. A lot of motion doesn't mean
Yeah.
doesn't
No
mean
results, right?
productivity.
It can
Mm.
be a rocking chair, right?
Right. Right.
Going nowhere really quickly,
Mm.
you know? And one thing struck me on my way home. I'm like, you know what? Whatever is your style, whatever is your plan, whatever you're doing, just be at peace with who you are and walk towards your purpose from there. She is working from a place. A natural tendency is to be
Right.
cool, calm, collected, while
Yeah.
mine is to be alive and moving and all that. And that's okay. There's
That's
no
okay.
wrong way.
Right.
There's no wrong way. And some women will tell you, I want to stay at home with my kids. I
Mm.
Mm.
honestly envy them because I think it is very noble.
Yes.
I
And a
agree.
lot of women that do that look at their kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at their kids. So a lot of times I just
Mm.
tell myself, stay wherever your lane is, stay there. My pastor said something, Pastor Nick Adeyemi said, I've forgotten what we were talking about, and we delved into, when you tell people everybody can change the world. And she said, everybody will change their world. I was like, what's
Mm.
the difference? She said, because your sphere of influence is what you have.
Is your one.
It's not everybody that would have a voice to the world, but you would have a voice to
Yes,
your
fair.
world.
Mm.
And you should make peace with that and own it because that is what you are responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So that illusion of saying have it all, define it by whose standard?
Mm-hmm.
define it by your standard, by
Mm.
what God has called you to, by the things you're passionate about, by the
Right.
things that you're working for. Because if you mirror those words through the
Mm,
lens of social media,
Oh.
expectation,
mm,
um, uh, want to impress, it's just going to get messed up. But
Mm.
if you are looking at those things with your mirror, they say be your own best competition, right?
right. Right. Right.
When you are a better version of yourself, you look into the mirror and say, okay, I can do this better. And you
Yeah.
get better at it. That is having it all.
Mm. Mm.
You like what you see when you look in the mirror. I think that's really beautiful
Mm.
because who defines all really? And you say it's a self definition. Um, my next question, extra sheet, please.
So just quickly to read what there's been a lot of chatter here. She said that Jota is full. Please, extra sheet, please. Grassham says thank you for sharing.
Right.
Jola sends love emoji. Two love it. Two. I'm guessing that's for me and PK. Please go and ask. Let me go and ask Jola for the one more because she only sent two. So this is for me and PK. Thank you very much. Moving on. Grassham says yes. So just base. So please keep leaving your comments and shares and like and all of that. Please share it. Oh, I didn't tell you to share, but you are sharing already. I see that you're sharing. So PK, on this show we don't usually have time, and it's
Mm.
always annoying me. I've told Lami to go and have the power of Joshua to stop
To
time.
stop
She
the
will.
storm.
Yes, stop the moon. We are in the night now. Stop moon. Stop a Calgary moon from moving forward. All
Mm.
right. Let me stay back because I'm capturing some things that's helping me. Lami, I know you have a question. Go ahead.
I do actually. So thank you very much because we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
And based on what PK had said, she says, look, there's a lot of pressure on women to not just be mothers, wives, daughters, and all of that, but to be the best at it. At everything, there's so much pressure. And so I wonder, you talked about it. You talked about the client that you had who says, who you said work two jobs. You have 577 jobs. You know, so the question
Why
really
577 Joe? 507. Why? What? You tell me.
is, so how do you make sure you don't burn out? Because that
Mm,
usually is you're juggling so many things. How do you self care? How do you make sure you don't burn out? Because you're the one that feeds everything. You said, look in the mirror, like what you see. So if that lady in the mirror, that is the mother, that is the wife, that is the daughter, and the CEO, and all the other fun stuff.
mm,
So,
mm,
how do you make sure you don't burn out?
mm.
Okay. I like to tell stories a lot, so I'm holding myself back. But burnout is very real.
It is.
Before I burnt out,
Mm,
I I actually thought if it's something you love, you don't burn out, but you do.
Mm,
mm,
And burnout happens when you, for a minute or for a long while, forget about yourself and think about every other thing
mm,
except you,
mm,
which might be okay, but it's not sustainable.
mm,
Because what then happens is if you don't take time to self-care, it's like being forced, when you don't service your car, you will just start the car one day and it will not answer. And the amount of time you will lose trying to fix that car will be worse than the amount of time you would have spent servicing it.
mm,
JJ, 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you're done.
mm.
Or if it breaks down, you will have to go and find CA. You will have to pay CA. You will have to pay your mechanic. You have
Especially
to
if especially if it breaks down in the middle of deer foot when it's snowing badly.
know. So that is the way self-care is. So
Mm,
I believe to answer the question more directly, I listen to music a lot.
mm,
Music is therapy for me.
mm,
I listen to music a lot. I love music. It I have out of body experience when it comes to music. So I
Mm,
feel it helps me escape. And there is also shutting down uh, the noise, getting off all of socials, and just be, get away, and not necessarily get away, get out of my house. But when I shut off the noise, you don't know how much noise your phone
mm,
brings. It's a lot of noise, it's a lot of
mm,
pressure coming through your phone, coming through your computer, so that's my way of decompressing. And there's also I also rely on my community. I have a very small community. Very, very small, but I also rely on my community as well. I have people reminding me, the very reminding me of who I am.
mm,
There's some people that remind you, say, don't you know? And whenever I hear from those people, there is so much energy. So I believe self-care for me personally is music, is shutting off the noise, and is being around positive people. You
mm,
know, being around people that energize you is very, very important,
mm,
because everything else is speaking, and
Hmm.
usually they're not saying the nicest things, right?
Hmm.
If you look at social, it will tell you you're not rich enough, you're not beautiful enough,
mm.
you're you're not, your kids are
You
not
don't have
great
money enough.
enough, your family is not cute enough,
Mm,
your hair is not big. That is, but when you look outside, you will like, okay, my car is not big enough, my everything is speaking, everything.
mm,
So part of the reasons why we burn out is your brain and the way the brain works. God is amazing. It's an amazing machine. All
mm,
of this information, it is interpreting, it is trying to make sense of it, it is trying to internalize it, it's trying to create a plan around it. But when you are able to take yourself out and you are around people that energize you, you're around the right words, you're around positivity, it kind of helps it to more like recoil, you know, and it
Yeah.
grounds you. It grounds you. So when people say self-care, it's not just going to the spa. You can go
Hmm.
to the spa and have a mental breakdown. It's not just
mm,
it is first here. That is where your first self-care is. The moment you are in a right mental space, then you can go to the spa, then you can take care of yourself. Then I like sugar therapy too. you know I usually would tell my story of my first time in therapy. And was it my first or my second session, after my therapist said I should go for a sugar therapy. And I said, what does that mean? She
I was going
said,
to ask.
she said, when last did you do something for yourself? I'm like, what do you mean? She was like,
Mm,
when last did you do something for you that
yourself.
you like, that you say,
Mm,
I like this thing? I was like, I can't remember. She was like, okay,
mm.
let's try again. She was like, do you like ice cream? I was like, yes. She was like, have you ever walked into a store to buy ice cream for
Just
only
for
yourself,
yourself.
just for yourself, because you liked it and you wanted it? And I said, I've never done it.
Mm,
She was like, okay, so on your way today, you
mm.
go to an ice cream shop, and I
You're not
want you,
thinking of anybody else.
and I
Yeah,
need you to,
and you're not buying one and taking it home. Nice.
and I want you to
You want
sit.
to do it tomorrow, I'm sure.
And she said, buy it and sit in the car
Hmm.
Hmm.
and finish it
And
before
finish
you
it.
go back home.
That therapist is
She's
Akadom.
getting.
And that was for me
Hmm.
self-care 101.
Hmm.
It started from my mind. It was the fact that I needed to prioritize myself.
Hmm.
I needed to do more things for myself. I needed to tell myself that I was priority and I loved myself.
Hmm.
So now when I'm really stressed, is now my way of decompressing. So if you see me randomly in an ice cream shop, don't greet me. I'm doing therapy. Just just leave me. So and so for the first time, you can be eating ice cream and be crying. And you'd be like, are you kidding me? I've never bought
Mm,
ice cream for myself. Really? How much is ice cream? But it just
mm,
shows how much pressure and how much things can go spiral and we truly can burn out. So I think you need to find what works for you. For some
Right.
people, music might not work for them. They are not
yeah,
music people. I
yeah.
love to see the mountains. I love nature. Nature speaks to me. My
Mm,
husband doesn't even understand what it means to see nature. So a lot of times he's always himself and the boys always roll their eyes at me when I'm like, oh my goodness, did you see that tree? I talk about trees and they're like, really trees? I notice I notice how trees are changing, and I'm always telling them, "Did you notice that tree? Did you, And that's the way, part of the ways I decompress when I'm present in my moment. And
mm,
honestly, only for me to find out that there's actually a science to it. They call it grounding, in your environment, that it
mm,
helps you decompress. So those are the ways that work for me. So if you are in a space like mine that you have lots of balls going on,
mm,
take care of yourself. It doesn't
mm.
Mhm.
have to be spa, but starts with your mind. Your mind has to be right. Once your
Right.
mind is right, try sugar therapy or shopping
I would
therapy.
try
They
it.
say some people like
I,
shopping therapy.
I, I
And
I'll
would
take
try.
shopping
nature is
therapy.
I have to try it. So we on this show is 1 hour. I know that we won't have time. I'm not even going to complain, but because I don't want to bring you back, we're just going to spend a few more minutes to. I have this question that I want us to really talk about before you go, and that is okay. So for me as a woman,
For
I'm
you
in.
as a
I'm just speaking for women now. For me as a woman, you know, I'm in this marriage, and
mm,
I'm not happy in this marriage. The my spouse
marriage.
my spouse is not allowing me express myself the way I want to, right? It's gonna be two-faced question, right? Like my spouse is not allowing me, do the things I really want to do. What do I do? That's question one. I really want to do this. I really want to do that. You talked earlier about, also marrying somebody who, assists you and full goes along with you on that journey. So let's say that's question one. Question two, I'm a woman and I'm
again.
yet to get married. I'm a woman again, yes.
Question. He's reading a question now.
Yes. And I'm yet to get married. What are the telltale signs
Mm.
for me to look at? Because I'm like picky. I everything I see, the way I've been trained is to just give up myself every time.
Hmm.
How do I identify the right person to get married? So two questions there.
Ha. Lami, I see you shake your head because I don't even know where to start. What kind of question is this? Okay, I would attempt, and that attempt will be like they say, it's 40,000 foot view, which
Uh-huh.
means we can't go into details.
Mhm.
Uh, so if you are a woman and you're saying, okay, I think my spouse is holding me back because
Mm,
they just feel you cannot be all over the place. I believe in wisdom. Wisdom is profitable, the Bible says, to direct.
mm,
I understand the need to want to be yourself in your marriage, but at the same time, the Bible says that can two work together except they agree.
mhm,
So I would say introduce people that I have talked to or coach is let's take it in piecemeal. What are the
mm,
things you want to do? You
mm.
cannot honestly, I didn't do all of these things in my life all at once.
All at
I
once.
didn't I didn't wake up one day and I had a business and I had a career and I had a job and I became a pastor and all of that did not happen in one day.
Mm,
So we more or less were getting into it in phases and in stages. So if you are that person, I would say break down your goals. Maybe it's too big. Maybe your family is not ready for it. Maybe your kids are too young.
mm.
Maybe your husband doesn't see a need for it. And what I mean by that, I've heard husbands say, I take care of you. So why you? What's all this ambition for? you know, while some will say, you know what, I will feel less of a man if you start
Mm,
to get to my level, you
Mm.
know. So I feel it needs to clip the wings so that you can be subservient. There are so many crazy
mm.
stories out there.
I know.
So
I can never doubt any of your story because you hear it all, right? Like so. Mm,
so it depends on your situation, but I would say whatever your dream is or whatever it is you want to do, break it down. Why not start in little ways? Why not start online that you're still at home? Why not start with a friend? You know, why not do partnership so it doesn't require 100% of you? Why not? You know, there are so many things you can consider such that you don't have to ask for 100%. How
mm,
about I only need 10% to be able to do this along with a friend or do it online or just take that course. You don't have to start the business yet. Then, you know, things like that. So I think the wisdom there is to bring them along in the journey, but don't overwhelm them,
mm,
especially when you understand your spouse. If it's someone that either easily get overwhelmed or feels that, you know what, um, all of these things that you're saying is going to impact us as a family, take it in piecemeal. It doesn't
mm,
have to be big, you know, and consider partnerships, consider doing it online, you know, consider there are so many things. It doesn't have to be exactly what is in your mind is the way for it to go. And if you have those special circumstances where it is a case of insecurity and all
Mm.
of that, I would say first go and pray.
ah, you went from career coach to pastor straight. Ah, see life.
Right.
I took you from my office to my pulpit
You
straight
are moving straight.
because I can't help you that way. This is how I can help you.
Mm,
Because then it becomes a lot more convoluted. I know there are men like that.
yeah.
And it takes God to change a
Mm,
man. There's no amount of nagging or
mm,
no amount of admiring PK that is doing everything that will change your man.
mm.
Your man
Or
is who you are.
comparing. Can't you see
It's not
Picky?
going to
She's
happen.
doing it. You are restricting me. Da, 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 da. You're making it
It will
worse.
not happen. You are making it worse.
Mm,
So start from there and speak the right words. You know, the Bible says that a word rightly spoken
mm,
says it's like gold in a setting of rubies. As in, anytime I read it just feels so beautiful. That means the words are rightly spoken. And I've seen
mm,
men that are not even Christians, but it's the way you talk, the way you
mm,
approach, the way you lay it down. And if it's somebody that break it down, you're not asking for too much, you just want to do a course. Don't tell him the entire dream. Don't say you want to become prime minister. Just say I want to do political science course in U of T. That's all. And the course is only 2 times a week. You can say that that is more doable than say I want to go and join political party because I want to become prime minister. They will clip your wings
mm,
because when you have 3 children, who is going to attend to those people? Who is
mm,
going to make sure the kids are well raised? So understand your dynamic, break it down, make it consumable. And if
mm,
it's outlier cases where you have a lot of insecurity, baggage from the past, and all of that, seek help and start and pray. Then you can start to come into yourself or your own that way. So
mm.
that is 40,000 foot view. I know people have special issues and circumstances, but
Right.
Yeah.
I just think that is as general as I can go.
Mm,
For those that are looking for men or women to marry, I would say that um, understand, sell your vision early enough. For those of us that have already married,
your bishop is sold.
we have taken
I'm
our
what?
own. How do they say it? We have taken our own, you
What?
know.
Mm,
But if you still have that privilege, I'll call it a privilege because I've seen some marriages that I wish they can do a do-over.
mm,
So if you're privileged to still be single, I would say have those conversations, the things you want to do, when you want to do them, and look at how those things overlap. And that is very important. if what you want to do is to be flying all around the world, then you should talk about it. How is that going to affect children? How is that going to affect where are we going to stay? Where are we going to live? So be upfront about it, and you would already see the signs. If it's somebody that is uncomfortable, why are you always writing exam? Why are you always, you
Mm,
already know the person is uncomfortable with all of your activities. Why are
mm,
you doing another business? I thought you want this one to grow first. You already know is uncomfortable
mm.
with all of those things happening. So be upfront about the things, the dreams, the vision, and ask him the same, because I also believe both of you can help each other, and especially where there are overlaps, it helps, it grounds your marriage. In fact, the better for you when you have overlaps in the things you're interested in or the things
Mm.
you want to achieve.
Right.
Is because it grounds both of you. It always brings you together because you have a shared vision, and nobody's feeling like their vision is not, they are sacrificing their vision for their partner's vision in
Mm.
that way. So, all of those conversations need to happen. Then you can already see the signs of the type of spouse this person is going to be, and you can be upfront about the things you want or want to achieve as well.
Wow. So just a quick one. Ifeola says, first time on the show. I loved it. PK is so knowledgeable.
Yes,
Thank you
sure.
so much. Thank you so much, Ifeola, for joining. I'm sure you continue to tune into the Friday Night Mix Show. It's every Friday, every 10 p.m. We're here. We're going nowhere. PK, thank you so, so much
Thank you.
for the word of knowledge, the
Right.
wisdom that you've brought to tonight's show. I never doubted. I mean, when we were having the conversation with you, I was like, "Ah, PK, please wait, let's go on the show. And you need to share this with people, because it was really heavy. And if you want to see PK every Sunday, like I see her, I'm privileged to see her. Just come to Peace Church Global. It's in Island Park
I love
Community
it.
Center. Although we are moving very soon, but we are still there for now. You still see us there. Island Park Community Center, somewhere in Center Street over there. And it's been a wonderful show tonight. I can't. I mean, I'm just looking at time. It's 1 hour, 12 minutes. We normally do 1 hour, but for this one, I said yes. We are going to do 1 hour, whatever minute it takes. But we'll continue. We're glad that when we call you again, we know you would come, so you can share some other. We didn't even go into your real estate
Right.
industry. We didn't even go in there at all. We didn't touch on HR at all. You
Right.
get so there's still so much to say, but thank you so much for your time. Lami, I don't know if you have something to say before we go.
I just want to say a big thank you. Honestly, we didn't expect any less, and the comments and even what I learned is a testament to the expectation that you were going to kill it, and you
Mm,
killed it. So
I
thank you
did
dead.
not
so
kill
much.
anybody.
It's good to
That
cool.
is dead. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. For everyone that has left a comment, like, share, we really appreciate you. God bless you. Please keep sharing, keep commenting, and we'll see you next week again. And just make sure you have a lovely weekend. Bye.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks, everyone.